Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Today we have here Cambridge IGCSE 0620 paper 22 extended version October November 2021. Total time for which is 45 minutes and total marks 40. So question 1, an experiment is set up as shown. This is most probably diffusion related to the molecular mass. So cotton wool soaked in ammonia and cotton wool is soaked in HCl. After several minutes, a white ring of aluminum chloride appears as shown. Because this is soaked in ammonia, so ammonia travels, and this is soaked in HCl, so HCl diffuses. So because ammonia has a lower MR, it diffuses faster, and this has a higher MR, it diffuses slower because MR is inversely proportional to diffusion, the rate of diffusion. So ammonia gases diffuse faster, correct, faster, yes, because its molecules have a lower molecular mass. So option A is definitely correct. A student put exactly 25 cm cube of dilute HCl into a conical flask. The student added 2.5 gram of solid sodium carbonate and measured the change in temperature of the mixture. Which apparatus does the student need to use? So change in temperature, a thermometer definitely, measuring 25 cm cube of dilute HCl. So for 25, 50 cm cube, we have fixed pipette with markings on them like this somewhat. Uh, this is the mark indicating the 25 cm cube, 50 cm cube. So it is better than a measuring cylinder. So and balance for the weight. So balance pipette, not stopwatch. Balance pipette, thermometer. Yes. Don't confuse measuring cylinder because measuring cylinder is less precise than the pipette. Not ignore the precise part, it's more accurate, the pipette. A student separates sugar from pieces of broken glass by dissolving the sugar in water and filtering off the broken glass. What is a filtrate? Well, a student separates sugar from pieces of broken glass by dissolving the sugar in water and then filtering off the broken glass. So, of course, the broken glass will remain over here as the residue because it is insoluble, and the soluble sugar plus water, the sugar solution basically will be collected over here. So, D is the correct answer. How many protons, neutrons, and electrons are there in one atom of the isotope aluminum 2713? So, number of protons is denoted by the proton number. So, 13 protons are there. Incorrect, incorrect. And the number of electrons is the same. The number of neutrons is calculated by subtracting the two, which is 14. So, option B is correct. Very straightforward. Which description of brass is correct? It is an alloy, metal combined or mixed with another element. It can be a metal or a non-metal. Not a compound, not an element, not a non-metal. Some properties of diamond are shown. It is very hard. True. Every atom forms four bonds. True. This is the structure of the it's the tetrahedral structure basically, and each is bonded to four carbon. So each carbon is bonded to four carbons. It does not conduct electricity. It is true, of course. Which properties are also shown by silicon oxide? Every atom forms four bonds. Why would this be true in silicon oxide? Silicon oxide is not made up of carbon, it is made up of silicon and oxygen. So, and it is, however, very hard. It does not form four bonds and it does not conduct electricity. Yes. So, option C is correct. Which statement describes the attractive forces between molecules? They are strong covalent bonds which hold molecules together. Hmm. The attractive forces are not exactly the covalent bonds. The covalent bonds are strong, present in giant molecular structures. They are not strong ionic bonds. They are weak forces of attraction, which are between covalently bonded molecules. They're not covalent bonds exactly, the stronger ones which are present in the giant molecular structures, but they are weak forces of attraction. Whenever attractive forces is seen, you always go for weak forces, because strong covalent bonds is not an attractive force, it is a bond. And iron, this is not present in ions. Ions have a electrostatic force of attraction, or yeah, ionic bonds basically. Which substance is described as a macromolecule? Graphite. We have three macromolecules, three giant molecular structures: silicon oxide, diamond, and graphite. The equation for the reaction of sodium with water is shown. What is the volume of hydrogen gas measured at room temperature produced when 18.4 gram of sodium reacts with excess water? So 18.4 grams of sodium. The MR of sodium is 23. Yeah, 23. 23. 18.4 over 23, because the formula grams over MR. So 18.4 divided by 23, 0.8. This is 0.8 moles of sodium. So when there are 2 moles of sodium, we have only 1 mole of hydrogen gas, meaning half. So 0.8 will have half of 0.8, which will be 0.4 moles of hydrogen gas. Now that we have the moles, we can use this formula. So volume will be moles times the total moles times the volume, 24 dm cube, which is a constant. So this will give us the answer 9.6. Next question. Iron can be electroplated with zinc to make it resistant to corrosion. Which row about electroplating iron with zinc is correct? Okay, so when electroplating, the anode is a substance which we are electroplating with. For example, if this is the solution and this is the anode and this is the cathode, so this is what is being electroplated, the object, and this is the substance which is used for electroplating, and the electrolyte is made up of a salt of this solution, a solution of this salt. So now we can see the question. Iron can be electroplated with zinc. So zinc is used for electroplating, so anode B should be of zinc. Anode should be of zinc. The electrolyte should be of a zinc salt, so option D should be correct. Now why is the salt of this metal? Because this then deposits over here and this dissolves over here, and there's a continuous cycle, and in the end we are left with very less volume of mass of anode, because most of it dissolves. Chlorine reacts with ethane to produce chloroethane and hydrogen chloride. The reaction is exothermic. The bond energies are shown. We need to calculate the energy change. So pretty simple. The formula is energy in minus energy out. So energy in is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bonds of CH, 410, plus CL bond is 240, minus we have one carbon carbon bond, so 350, plus we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon hydrogens bonds, plus carbon chlorine bond, which is 340, plus HCl, so 430 hydrogen and chlorine. If you do this math, the answer you get is minus 120. So option B is correct. Chlorine gas is bubbled into aqueous potassium iodide. What is the ionic equation for the reaction that takes place? So chlorine plus aqueous potassium iodide, and on that side we'll have potassium chloride, because chlorine is more reactive than iodine as it is above in the group, so it will displace the iodine and we'll be left with iodine on this side. So before balancing, we know that Aqueous gets charges, and the same on either side are cancelled. So we'll have Cl2 plus I minus aqueous producing Cl minus aqueous plus I2. So for the balancing we can have 2 on this side and 2 on this side to balance each of iodine and chlorine. Now we look at the options. So A is definitely incorrect. As for B, B seems to be correct. Yes, B seems to be correct, but the problem is this is iodine over here. Okay, so this is correct. This is Cl2. No, this Cl2 is incorrect. This should be a 2 over here, which is correct in this. So this is the correct answer. Concentrated aqueous sodium chloride is electrolyzed. Which equation represents the reaction at the cathode? So at the cathode, hydrogen is being formed, so only option C is correct because cations are discharged at the cathode. So only this is correct. Which statements about hydrogen are correct? When hydrogen is burned, heat energy is released. Well, why not? Yes. When anything is burned, heat energy is released because combustion is an exothermic reaction. When hydrogen is used in a fuel cell, electrical energy is generated. Yes, what other purpose does a fuel cell have if electricity is not generated? When hydrogen is used as a fuel, water is the only product. Yes, a fuel cell only has water as the waste product. So 1, 2, and 3, both all are correct. Solid X is heated strongly. The color of the solid changes from blue to white. So from blue to white, what is solid X? If we heat anhydrous cobalt to chloride, there would be no change because it is already anhydrous. So how? So we basically heating to remove the water to dehydrate it. So it is already dehydrated or maybe anhydrous. How as calcium carbonate, as we heat it, gas is produced, calcium oxide is produced, and the entirely changes. So incorrect. If we use lead to bromide, we haven't studied anything related to lead to bromide being heated and turning from blue to white. The only thing is a test for water, which is hydrated copper sulfate. When we add water to anhydrous copper sulfate, when we add water to anhydrous copper sulfate, what happens is it goes from white to blue. So this time we're going in the reverse direction. We had hydrated copper sulfate and we heated it, so it should be going from blue when it contained water and now white when it does not contain water. It is anhydrous. So hope that is clear. Option C correct. Iron 2 chloride solution reacts with chlorine gas. The equation is shown. Which statement about this reaction is correct? Are correct. Fe2 plus ions are reduced to Fe3 plus ions. This is oxidation. There is an increase in the charge. Chlorine acts as a reducing agent. If chlorine is acting as a reducing agent, it should be oxidizing itself. It should be oxidized itself. Let's check this. Over here it was minus 1, and over here it was 0. So from minus 1 it went to minus 1, still minus 1, and from 0 it went to minus 1. So it reduced. It is reduced. So this means that it is the oxidizing agent. So this is incorrect. Fe2 plus ions each lose an electron. Yeah, that is the reason they're getting a positive charge. Otherwise, why would they get a positive charge? From 2 plus they went to 3 plus. Fe3 to Fe2 plus, and this is Fe3 plus. And this can only happen with transition elements. Cl2 molecules are reduced to Cl minus ions. Yes, we saw it over here. Cl20 was reduced to Cl minus. So 3 and 4, which means option D is correct. Which statements about acids and bases are correct? An acid reacts with a metal to give off hydrogen. Yes. Acid plus metals produces a salt and a hydrogen. A base reacts with an ammonium salt to give off ammonia. This is also true. An acid reacts with a carbonate to give off carbon dioxide. This is also true. Alkaline solutions are orange in methyl orange. No. No. Alkaline solutions are not orange in methyl orange. This is incorrect. So 1, 2, and 3 are correct. So option A is correct. As for methyl orange, it is in the presence of an alkaline solution, yellow, not orange. Oxide 1 is a solid that reacts with dilute HCl, which means this is a basic oxide. Oxide 2 is a gas that reacts with sodium hydroxide solution. This is an acidic oxide. So basic oxide means metal oxide. Acidic oxide means non-metal. So it's pretty easy now. Basic oxide is a metal oxide. So incorrect. Oxide 2 is a non-metal oxide. So B. This is again a basic. Which reaction is a photochemical reaction? Addition of bromine to propene. Nope. Bromine to propene is an addition reaction. Esterification of ethanol and ethanoic acid. This is a condensation reaction. Oxidation of ethanol. It is an oxidation reaction. Substitution of methane with chlorine is a photochemical reaction requiring UV rays, UV light. The equation shown represents a reaction at equilibrium. M and N represent the balancing numbers for the reactant and product respectively. A higher temperature increases the concentration of Q. A high temperature increases the concentration of Q. Okay. A high pressure increases the concentration of Q. Okay, so this is a question in which all your equilibrium things are tested. So you should be very solid with them. So a high temperature increases the concentration of Q, meaning that a high temperature moves the reaction forward and the equilibrium towards the right, meaning that the forward reaction is endothermic. Otherwise, the reaction would be moving backward. And a high pressure increases the concentration of Q. So when we increase the pressure, the reaction moves from more gas to fewer. The fewer side is favored. So, and this is true when a high pressure in this case is there. So let's go again. A high pressure means a high pressure is moving the reaction forward. So this means that when there is high pressure, the side with the fewer moles is favored. So the fewer moles should be N. N should be smaller than M. So N is smaller than M and M is greater than N. M is greater than N. So the forward reaction is not exothermic, it is endothermic. We did the theory first and then looked at the options. A period of the periodic table is shown. The letters are not their chemical symbols. Which statement is correct? Okay, so this is pretty simple. Element R does not conduct electricity. Definitely wrong. This is a metal. It should conduct electricity. Elements R and Y react together to form an ionic compound. Why not? A metal and a non-metal can react to form an ionic compound. Element Z. So yeah, this is true. Element Z exists as a diatomic molecule. Group 8 are monoatomic. Element Z reacts with element T. Z and T. Z is basically unreactive. Z because group 8 already have a noble gas or a complete octet. All metal nitrates are soluble in water. All metal chlorides are soluble except silver and lead. This is a very similar questions to the one in the summer 21 paper also. All metal carbonates are insoluble except sodium and potassium, which aqueous solutions produce a precipitate when mixed together. So an insoluble substance should be in the product. So silver nitrate plus sodium carbonate will produce silver carbonate plus sodium nitrate. So yes, a precipitate is there. This is insoluble. Carbonates are insoluble except for sodium and potassium. Silver nitrate plus sodium chloride. So sodium nitrate will be produced and silver chloride will be produced. Silver reacts with this, sodium reacts with this. So AgCl is again a PPT. You should be remembering this, by the way. They've given you the information over here, but they don't do that all the time. This is available for the notes for use in qualitative analysis in your syllabus. Barium nitrate plus potassium chloride. So this will produce barium chloride plus potassium nitrate, none of which is a precipitate. So only 1 and 2, 22A. Which row describes properties of transition elements? They're colored compounds. Yes, they have a high density and they have a variable oxidation state. So correct. The noble gases are in group 8 of the periodic table. Which statement explains why noble gases are unreactive? I just discussed this 2-3 questions back. They all have 8 electrons in their outer shell, so why would they gain or lose any electron? They're more stable. So, oh, wait. Not too fast. We should be always reading all the other options. They all have full outer shells. So, there's a small distinction. They're all gases. This is not a reason. They're all monoatomic. This is not a reason. So, having 8 electrons in their outer shells is not factually correct, because not all gases contain 8 electrons in their outer shells. As for helium only has 2 electrons, so it should have only 2 electrons, and it fills only the first shell. Okay, so this is a good question. So they have only 2 electrons. The helium has only 2 electrons, so it does not have 8 electrons. So proving the statement incorrect. They all don't have 8 electrons. The correct way to say it, they all have full outer shells. The shell which the helium electrons occupy is the first shell, which has a maximum capacity of 2 electrons. So B. Which statement is correct for all metals? Okay, they conduct electricity when molten. True, they conduct electricity when molten, solid, both. So this can be true. They gain electrons, no. When they form ions, no. They lose. They have a low density, no. They have a low melting point, no. Because we are talking about all metals. So yeah, carbon dioxide is produced during the extraction of aluminum from bauxite. Which statement describes how this carbon dioxide is made? So carbon in the extraction of aluminum. So there is no blast furnace in aluminum. There is electrolysis. So carbon monoxide reduces aluminum oxide. No. There is no direct interaction. Oxygen made in the process reacts with the carbon electrode. This is the correct answer. The anode. The anode is made up of the carbon, and when oxygen is produced at the anode, it reacts with the electrode itself. The ore of aluminum undergoes thermal decomposition. There is no thermal decomposition in the extraction of aluminum. Aluminum objects do not need protection from corrosion. Iron objects must be protected from corrosion. Which statement explains why aluminum resists corrosion? Because aluminum has a protective layer of aluminum oxide. Option C. Which statements explain why zinc is used to protect iron from rusting? Because zinc is less reactive than iron. No. Wait. Wait a second. The reactivity series is in which zinc is over here and iron is over here. So zinc is more reactive than Fe. So 1 is correct. So what happens is zinc offers a sacrificial protection for iron. Zinc first quickly reacts with the moisture, the oxygen, and covers the iron. So and zinc is not rust. So it protects the iron in this way. If it would be less reactive, then there would be no reason for using zinc. Zinc can form alloys with iron. Zinc cannot form alloys with iron. Have we studied this? Even if we are not confirmed about this, let's look at 4. Zinc acts as a sacrificial metal. This is obviously true. The protection layer is not an alloy. It is a protective layer. It is not an alloy. The zinc does not combine with iron. So 1 and 4, option B is correct. Which conditions are used in the Haber's process? This is pure recall. I won't be spending much time in this too. Much of the questions which are purely recall and remembering things, there is no reason to spend a lot of time. Haber's process is 2450 degrees Celsius temperature and 200 atmosphere pressure, 200 atm. So C. Which process does not produce a greenhouse gas? CO2, CH4 are examples of greenhouse gases. Acid rain on limestone buildings. So acid, when it reacts with limestone buildings, so plus acid. Any acid, when it reacts with the carbonate salt, it produces carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. Combustion of wood produces carbon dioxide and water. Combustion of wood, so not correct. Digestion in cows produces methane. CH4. Zinc reacting with sulfuric acid. Acid plus metal will produce a salt and hydrogen gas. So hydrogen gas is not a greenhouse gas. Correct. Which reaction involving sulfur dioxide is correct? It is produced during the extraction of zinc from zinc blende. So this is not in your syllabus, so we can just leave this MCQ. Lime is used to treat wastewater from a factory. Which substance is removed by the lime? Okay, so if you remember, flue gas desulfurization, in which fossil fuels are burned and then lime calcium oxide is used to remove the sulfur from the fumes, sulfur dioxide, to remove the sulfur dioxide. So it's the same case over here. We'll remove sulfuric acid, sulfur containing compound. So this is basically, you have to relate this, and even if you don't relate this, it is a far-fetched thing. It's a far-fetched link, so we'll go directly into it. This is a base. Okay, so base reacts with what? Acid. Sodium chloride is a salt, so we don't need to basically remove sodium chloride from the water. Why would we remove that? Sodium hydroxide is a base. Calcium oxide is also a base. Two bases cannot react together. Ammonia is not present in the water. Even if it is basic. So ammonium does not react with a base. So only an acid can react with a base. Next, what is the structure of the ester formed from ethanoic acid and propanol? So ethanoic acid means the substance having the carbon oxygen double bond should contain two carbon atoms, and the propanol, which means that the one without the oxygen should have three carbon atoms. And because it is an ester, there should be no OH group or COOH group, because this OH and this H have combined and removed as water. So ethanoic acid, so this is incorrect because the acid part over here, is separated by this O, and it contains three carbon atoms. So this is propyl ethanol. Sorry, this is basically ethyl propanoate. And what the question said was ethanoic acid and propanol. So propyl ethanoate. So this is the reverse. So as for this is the correct for the acid, but the bonding is not shown correctly. The ester bond is like this. This is the functional group present over here. Option same is the problem with option B. There are many problems with option B. 3 carbon on the acid part, 2 carbon on the alcohol part, a functional group of alcohol, no sense. D is correct because 2 carbon atoms, the correct functional group, 2 carbon atoms for the acid, 3 carbon atoms for the alcohol. Correct. Fuel X produces carbon dioxide and water when it is burned in air. So does fuel Y. What could X and Y be? Okay. What would X and Y be? There cannot be carbon or hydrogens because they're not fuels, and they do not produce water and carbon dioxide. C plus oxygen is basically just CO2, and H2 plus O2 is basically just H2O. So both options, any option containing either carbon or either hydrogen is incorrect. Only option D is correct. Alkenes and both are alkenes. Structures of 4 organic molecules are shown. How many different homologous series are represented by these molecules? Homologous series are indicated by the functional group. So this is a halogenoalkane. This is an alcohol due to the OH group. This is an alcohol due to the OH group. This is another alcohol due to the OH group. So that but oh no, my mistake. How is this an alcohol? This is COOH. I didn't look at it carefully. This is an acid. So 1, 2 and 3. 3 functional groups. Don't think that this is an alkane. This is a halogen alkane because it has a halogen attached. Which statement about ethene is correct? It has the chemical formula C2H6. No, this is the formula, general formula of alkanes, and this is following this. So it is an alkane. Ethene has formula C2H4. It burns in excess oxygen, producing carbon dioxide and water. This is true for all organic compounds, all homologous series. So this is correct. It reacts with Br2 to produce an orange solution. No, it produces a colorless solution. It reacts with oxygen to form ethanol. No, it reacts with steam to form ethanol. Ethanol is manufactured by fermentation of sugars or by catalytic hydration of ethene, which row states an advantage of each method. So the fermentation of sugars, the thing is, it uses a renewable resource. Sugars are renewable, so A, B are incorrect. Hydration is a continuous process. Catalytic hydration of ethene. We just need to supply the water and the enzyme, and it continues on and on. 38. Which statements about unsaturated hydrocarbons are correct? They contain both single and double bonds. Yes. They turn, if for example this is an ethene, so this is the structure of ethene. So it's single bonds and double bonds. They turn aqueous bromine from colorless to brown. This is the exact opposite. They turn it from brown to colorless. Unsaturated hydrocarbons, by the way, are alkenes which have a double bond. They can be manufactured by cracking. Of course, long chain alkanes can be cracked and broken down into smaller chain alkanes and alkenes. So 1 and 3 are correct. 38B. Which polymers have the same linkage between monomer units? Carbohydrates are not no longer in your syllabus. Protein and polyamide. So proteins are the substances which contain NH2 on one side, NH2, and proteins are basically made up of amino acids. So amino acids contain the amine group on one side, and on the other side they contain carboxylic acid. And another of this type, same type, what happens is when these amino acids join, this OH and H gone, and the bond is formed like this. So this is amide linkage. This is the same linkage which is present in polyamides, which have two different monomers, a diamine in which both sides are containing amine groups, and a dicarboxylic acid. The both sides are containing acid. So when they both combine, the same thing happens. So proteins and polyamide is the correct answer. In ester, the bond is COO, not containing nitrogen. So this is again not in your syllabus anymore. So, but we can do this. This contains a diol, and this contains a dioic acid. So there should be a dioic acid and a diol. So yeah, this is the correct answer. So we've completed the paper. Thank you so much. Jazakallah.